Hello, folks, and welcome back to another episode and new season of Are You a Fan? If you like this episode or any of our previous ones, give us a like, share, follow, and I guess welcome back from our non-short break.
Yeah, not like almost non-existent.
Yeah. I mean, we took one in December. That counts. Or November.
That was December.
Okay.
That was all of December.
Okay, let's get into this. I don't really have a question for this week. What you got for me, Joker? Anything?
Got one. So, if you could be given the chance to rule a planet, would you take it?
I mean, I feel like, okay, if I could just set up a council and I'm just the figurehead leader who sometimes kills certain council members.
Then you wouldn't be a leader. You would be ruling the world.
They don't need to know that. And let me rule in the sense like a king.
So you want to be a puppet leader, essentially.
I'd be down with that. Basically an old king where I'm like, the council handles most of it. I just declare things. And they have to figure out the finances behind the things I declare.
So essentially you want the title, but you don't want any of the responsibility.
100%. 100%.
So you're taking the cheating way out of that. Okay. Makes sense.
I'm not going to pretend to be something.
So the answer would be no.
Yeah. I am not smart enough to run an empire. And that I would need a council. And I'm like, just tell me who to swing this sword at.
So again, answer is no.
Yeah.
At that point, you might as well just be a soldier.
I mean, but they don't get as nice of quarters.
Depends on what level you're at.
Yeah, and the highest level is the king. He fights. That counts as a soldier, right?
Not usually, because usually the kings don't fight.
I mean, in fantasy, which is what we're going to be talking about.
Even in fantasy, half the time the kings don't fight.
Yeah, Baratheon did. What about you?
My answer would also be no. Different reason, because as a manager as it is in the normal world, hell no. They drive me to want to drink as it is. I wouldn't want a whole planet.
Yeah. That's why every king in history has a council in the king's hand. It's like, I don't want to deal with this.
Yeah, but their councils usually counsel them on what to do or how to do stuff. But they still have the full power to say yes or no.
That's kind of where I'm at. Hey, you've been
you didn't want any of the power.
Nah, I want
You wanted the title.
I want the title. That's 100% what I want. So this week's character, Okay, so that brings us into this week's character, Bo-Katan Kryze. Am I saying that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Finally.
Okay, let's get into this. Home planet, Mandalore.
Yeah, because weirdly, they also didn't have a birth year, a year that she was born in. There's no info on her birth. Huh. Or, almost any of her childhood.
I mean, given the character right now, I could see that.
Well, as much as they've delved in and expanded her, I'm surprised they don't have something.
I guess that's a little shocking as much as they have, kind of expanded on her, but gotta keep some mystery, I suppose. I don't know why. Okay, let's get into early life. So, Bo-Katan was born into the House Kryze and was the sister of Satine Kryze. They also had a nephew, Corky Kryze. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Corky. Wonder if he was a little weird.
Do you not remember him from the Clone Wars?
I did not. I completely forgot about him. But yeah, the nephew, who they were close, they were apparently close to the nephew, which I think I remember the character now.
It's the one that everybody has the fan theory of. That's Obi-Wan and Satine's kid.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Or it's the quote-unquote nephew.
Yeah. Jerry.
Right. So, unlike her sister Satine, who became the Duchess of Mandalore and was a pacifist, Bo-Katan would believe in embracing the violent ways of their heritage and would join a radical terrorist group who wanted to revive those warring ways. Because, you always have to have the black sheep of the family, I guess.
Right? Which, I mean, I feel like on Mandalore, Satine's would be considered the black sheep at that point.
Not at that point.
Really? The majority of them went peaceful?
Most of the planet was peaceful.
Oh. I thought that was kind of a new thing she was specifically implementing.
She was helping it, but the fact that majority of the planet took it, kind of shows that most of the planet and most of the Mandalorians were kind of trying to move on from their ways of war and desolation, because they also, Civil War kind of trashed their planet. They lived in domes because of it.
Yeah, war will do that.
So yeah, a lot of them kind of. Satine was definitely a little more normal compared to the rest of the Mandalorians at the time.
Okay. So, while a member of the Death Watch, she would serve as the lieutenant to the leader Pre Vizsla. Oh, that guy.
Yeah. So, while being the lieutenant, she would also lead a group of elite warriors that she called the Nite Owls. Which also had some awesome looking armor.
I was going to say, I do love the armor design of the Nite Owls. Okay, so let's get into the Clone Wars. In 20 BBY, Death Watch was contacted by Lux Benteri, the son of late Senator Mina Bonteri, who was betrayed and murdered by Count Dooku. I remember that.
Yeah, Grant, most of her story is all stuff that you could see in the various media, but still fun to go over and talk with. But yeah, she had some fun scenes in the early seasons.
Right, she was definitely I do love the whole concept when she brings up in the Mandalorian. She's like, "Oh, a zealot." It's like, you used to be part of that.
Hers, not necessarily zealot, but definitely not great either.
Yeah, it's one of those, like, I know she wasn't much of a zealot, but like her leader was kind of crazy.
Crazy, yes.
Definitely one of those, like, Mandalore will rise again with fire. And we're like, are we following this guy?
Yeah, clearly.
I mean, yeah, clearly. It did work. It did go far.
So Lux, knowing the Death Watch, who had also been betrayed by the Count and was looking for information, wanted to unite together. Bo-Katan would meet Lux and an undercover Ahsoka Tano and escort them to their camp.
Okay. Yep. I do remember that scene, and honestly, she was always a take charge solid character.
Oh, yeah.
So during Lux and Ahsoka's escape, Bo-Katan would chase after them and be bested in a fight against Ahsoka. Which is one of those, like...
Because some stuff happened in the camp. Ahsoka kind of outed herself, and they had to run.
Yeah. I mean... That's the one thing across the board. Mandalorians have never really been fond of the Jedi in any capacity.
Also, because they literally used to fight wars against them? Yeah.
Yeah. So, and also this group just got betrayed by a lightsaber wielder.
Right.
So, yeah, probably not too thrilled to see another one.
In 19 BBY, after establishing a new base on the moon Zanbar, they would locate an escape pod drifting in space. After investigating said pod, they would find 2 unconscious Zabraks and lightsabers. This would end up being Maul and his brother Savage Opress. Bo-Katan would ask if she should kill them, but Vizsla would have them taken to their ship instead. Because he's got other ideas for them.
Yep. Messing with some powers he doesn't fully quite comprehend, I feel. And honestly, I think she was right. She could have saved a lot of problems in the future.
So many problems.
I do Zanzibar. I don't know why. Okay. But yeah, okay, so later after Maul woke up, Vizsla and Bo-Katan would question the two and learn they wanted revenge against Kenobi, the same Jedi responsible for Death Watch's exile from Mandalore.
Because, just about everything in Star Wars media revolves around, 6 people from the various sequels or the various trilogies.
Yeah.
Because it all ties back to certain people in the prequels, all ties into certain people in the original.
That's kind of, yeah. The whole Star Wars series is just a family destroying the balance of the universe.
Literally is.
Yeah. It's like, we fixed it. It's like, you guys caused this. Again. It's like, yeah, but we fixed it. Yeah, that doesn't make up for all the death.
It's amazing that they never just completely got wiped out by the galaxy.
Right?
Like, we are tired of your family's drama. You're all dying. So Maul would heal and later meet with Vizsla again. They would plan to punish Kenobi and reclaim Mandalore. However, remembering how the last alliance with the Sith ended, Bo-Katan obviously and smartly would warn Vizsla. She would then be force choked by Maul after making the claim the Sith were no better than the Jedi. Which, in the Mandalorian mindset, not really wrong.
No, in the
One force wielder's bad as another.
Yeah, no, in the Mandalorian mindset, not wrong, but definitely one of those, like, maybe don't say that to their face.
Yeah, not the brightest.
Right? Okay, so the first step would see Vizsla and Bo-Katan following the Sith brothers to various planets to build a Shadow Collective, a group of allied criminal syndicates that included the Pikes and Black Sun. Which I do love when that does happen in the show. Immediately, Bo-Katan is not on board.
Oh, yeah, no. She was like the first one. Like, nah, this is not a great idea.
Right? Mostly, I get it. I get every complaint she had. And that, especially like is the one Vizsla's like, oh, like, we'll be in control. It's like, these are not people of honor, man.
Like, they're not like us. They are actual criminals.
Yeah, like, these people
We're just terrorists.
Yeah. These people will stab us in the back the second they get a chance. And the only reason they're not right now is because they just watched a possible Sith, chop off all their friends' heads. We don't have that same kind of pool.
Right.
We don't have little, like, floaty abilities to make lightsabers cut off heads. And he was just like, you know what? I don't think you know what you're talking about. I'm the leader. Okay.
Well, as we're about to learn, there's a reason he had his thought process behind this.
True.
So they would also unsuccessfully try to add the Hutts on Nal Hutta to the collective, where Bo-Katan and her Nite Owls and Hutt soldiers would end up fighting. They would then travel to Tatooine to visit Jabba's palace and force Jabba and the rest of the Hutts to join. So they failed on the home planet of the Hutts, but then they went and kind of forced the rest of them into submission. So after this, though, Vizsla would reveal to Bo-Katan that he had intended to betray the Sith when they retook Mandalore. So that's probably where he didn't mind the criminals, you know, because he's going to backstab too.
Yeah.
He was no better than the rest of them.
Which explains 100% why, like, he was going along with it. He just saw no problem. Because he was, you're right. He's just as bad as the others. She's the one who's like, this is not
the way to do it.
Yeah, this is not what we're about. Also, did not know that they got pushed back on the Hutt homeworld.
Yep.
Which makes sense. Hutts are not slouches.
Because they also really didn't want to join to begin with, because they got their own control. Like, they control a good chunk of the galaxy themselves.
Yeah, like, they're arguably, like, on the level of Empire power.
I'll say, when the fact that the other cartels are, you know, criminal organizations, they're controlling galaxies or controlling systems openly against the Republic, against the Empire.
Yeah.
Like, they are a powerhouse.
Yeah, like, even the Pikes still keep their stuff, like, on the low. Like, oh, we're smuggling. The Hutts are like, nah, we shipping.
Yep.
And do something about it, Jedi. And the Jedi are like, no, we don't want any of that.
Nope. Probably smart.
Right? So, on Mandalore, Bo-Katan and her Nite Owls would take place in the battle between the Shadow Collective, who attacked the capital city, and Death Watch.
And that was quote-unquote battle.
Yeah.
Because anybody who's listened up till now or seen the show know that it was very clearly just a stage.
It was 100... Yeah, it was... Basically, they were making themselves out to be the heroes. It was a whole song and dance.
That was the whole point behind Maul and his collective. It was, okay, you guys get to attack, be the bad guys. We're going to come rescue the planet.
Which, had he done it right, he should have just straight up killed Maul in that moment.
Oh, yeah, if he was smart about that part. But...
Right? They're like, we're going to lock up this mystic, this space wizard. I'm like, I'm sorry, you're going to lock up the space wizard, and you expected no consequences?
Though at the same time, knowing that Savage was still alive at the time, I don't think that would have worked out well either.
Think Savage would have gone crazy?
Oh, yeah.
True. And that guy was a powerhouse, too. Like, that guy... was a beast.
Yeah, I think he would have probably died in the process, but I'm pretty sure Vizsla would have died very quickly after killing Maul.
True. No, I can agree with that. As Bo-Katan's just watching this all go down. Bo-Katan. Oh, man, I am messing this character's name up. I apologize, fandom. Hey, we want more views. The best way to get views is to anger the fandoms, I've heard.
Let's not anger the Star Wars group, though. So after they took the planet, Vizsla would betray Maul and imprison the brothers, which obviously wouldn't last long because they'd break free and Maul would challenge Vizsla to a duel for control of Mandalore. And being the honor-bound way the Mandalorians are, per tradition, Vizsla would accept the challenge. Because Maul would get the idea from Prime Minister Almec, who was also in prison at the time. I was like, he's bound by honor. He's going to do this if you challenge him, because he's not going to want to look weak to the rest of his people.
Well, if I remember correctly, because the question was, would he even accept the challenge because of that? And I think it came down to, it's like, no, it's not up to him. His men watching him decline a challenge will lose him the title.
Oh, yeah.
And that's so, because I remember
he has to do it.
Yeah, because I even remember in that episode, he kind of tries to push the challenge away. Like, you're already beat. Why would I accept that? And his own men were like, oh, no. Challenge has been made.
Yep.
Are you our leader or not? And that's when he's like, he goes out there cocky, like, okay, I guess I'll kill this guy. Did not end well.
Yeah, no.
So the duel would be won by Maul, who would decapitate Vizsla and declare himself the new leader of Death Watch. Bo-Katan would refuse to accept his rule, saying no outsider would ever rule Mandalore. The Nite Owls would flee with Bo-Katan after a fight broke out with the warriors loyal to Maul. I find, because I've discovered more about the Star Wars universe in recent years, I find it funny her being like, no non-native. I'm like, lady, you guys were not the first Mandalorians.
No, and they're not, but a lot of the previous stuff is legends, and in canon they are they're essentially a normal race, not a creed like they were in Legends necessarily.
Man, that's one thing I can't say is the Legends versus the canon. It throws me off so much because I'm like, I don't know what's what.
Yeah, because technically, no. He would be Mandalorian at that point, or could be.
Yeah.
But, yeah, no. To the current canon, he's, no.
Okay, that makes more sense. Because I'm like, I keep getting confused with Legends versus canon at this point.
I mean, heck, with Legends, Jango Fett's not technically a Mandalorian because he was born on a different planet.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's from Concordia, I think. I don't remember, but his whole legend story is vastly different and made him one. But in canon, not really, because he's not from Mandalore.
Yeah. But at the same time now, it seems like they're trying to bring back that whole, it's a creed, not a...
Yeah, they're slowly pushing that back.
Which I like.
Amazing.
I loved that concept.
So Bo-Katan and the other Mandalorian rebels, with the help of her nephew, would rescue Satine from the royal prison and escape the city. Outside the city dome, where they finally got the ability to send out a transmission, Satine would get a message out to Kenobi asking for help as she was right before she was captured and the Mandalorians rebels had to retreat.
Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope.
Pretty much. I feel like that was probably the entire thought process behind them when they made that scene.
Oh, I don't doubt it. Okay, so Bo-Katan would watch Kenobi with interest when he would later arrive in the city. He would attempt to rescue Satine, but would fail and be taken to Maul. In an attempt to break the Jedi, Maul would kill Satine in front of Kenobi. This would also devastate Bo-Katan, who would then, with the rebels, help rescue Kenobi when he was being escorted to prison. Enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Yep. God, that is still such a painful scene to watch.
That's a rough scene. Like a rough scene, also rough when you find out that they're siblings.
Right.
Because Obi-Wan's like, why did you save me? And she just straight up tells him, like, that was my sister, man.
Well, no, it wasn't even that. He figured it out at the end, right before he left.
Oh, I forgot he figured it out.
Yep.
Which honestly just made it just as bad.
Oh, yeah, that definitely did not help it at all. So, after the rescue, Bo-Katan would tell Kenobi to tell the Republic and the Senate what had happened. Kenobi, though, would warn her that could lead to a Republic invasion, but if it meant Maul's death and Mandalore's survival, she could live with that. Because, in the end, when you're now having to avenge, one, your planet, but also your sister who just got murdered in front of your face, all bets are off.
Oh, 100%. Like, I don't care. I want this guy dead.
It's like, I will work with my greatest enemy. Clearly, I just rescued you.
Yeah, she is in endgame mode. She is just like bloodlust, and she wants Maul's head.
And she knew she couldn't do it without the Republic's help.
Oh, 100%.
They did not have enough people.
Not with the power that Maul had at that point. Especially with basically the control of Mandalore and all the underground organizations.
Yeah.
She's not... Who's she turning to at that point, too? Because, the crime lords are under the control. They have no way to trade with.
Nope.
That was her only real move. Good on her, though, for swallowing her pride. Not a lot of Mandalorians can do that. So, in the aftermath of the Civil War, Bo-Katan and her rebels would continue operating and keep tracking Maul. Bo-Katan and two of her owls would go to Obadiah to obtain codes from the Pikes to verify Maul's movement. While there, they would notice the presence of former Jedi Ahsoka Tano. After Tano's escape from the Pikes, Bo-Katan would follow her to Coruscant. Which, I think I remember when that happened.
They just happened to be on the same planet and just happened to keep an eye on her.
The Force.
So, on Coruscant, level 1313, which was a callback to a canceled video game.
Wait,
it was
really?
It was supposed to follow Boba Fett. It was called 1313.
Oh.
So, on level 1313, Bo-Katan would approach Tano, telling her that they now had a common enemy. After she agreed to help, Tano and the three Mandalorians would head back to Mandalore. Bo-Katan would explain Maul's takeover of the planet, and then Bo-Katan and Tano would contact the Jedis, Kenobi and Skywalker to request help of the Republic in a siege of Mandalore. Because she is real desperate. She continues to contact them, like, come on, guys, I need the help. Attack us.
Yeah, and honestly, Ahsoka was probably her best shot.
Oh, yeah. But she also knew that at least a Jedi is better than none, I guess.
Yeah, true. So, if she couldn't convince them to bring the Armada, at least they'd have her.
They'd at least have one person that could be on more equal grounds with the Sith.
Which, oh, man, for those of you who haven't checked out the last season of Clone Wars, that fight between Ahsoka and Maul, mwah.
Especially when you learn about the background of the making of that scene.
Oh, that too.
With Ray Park doing the actual movement. God, that was
Beautiful.
Amazing.
Yeah,
okay. We're just fanboying a little bit here.
Right? Okay, so after Kenobi would explain to her that an invasion of the planet by the Republic would break treaties and plunge them into another war, and he would talk to the council. Bo-Katan would angrily state her people had already suffered enough under Maul, and there wasn't time to talk to the council. She, in her anger, would even ask Kenobi if he even still loved her sister, Satine. Which, bit of a low blow, I feel.
Just a lot.
To which he would reply yes and still walk away. I mean, it's one of those, I feel like that's a Karen at the store move.
Oh, it was.
I remember the time I was at Petco and a lady comes in asking for a medication for a dog. And I'm like, ma'am, this is a Petco, not a PetSmart. We don't have a pharmacy here. And she's like, cool. Now my dog's going to die. I'm like, okay.
I deal with that. People coming in the hotel all the time.
Yeah.
It's super cold. Not my problem.
Right? And
I walk here. I know how cold it is. Get over it.
I just feel like that was energy. Like I thought you loved my sisters. Like, I don't control this army. I have to answer to higher. If I take a ship, they're just gonna stop me.
I mean, they didn't the first time.
Yeah, true. But he did get that ship under suspicious means, meaning Anakin gave it to him and was like, yeah, I got a ship you can borrow.
Right. It's seen better days, but yeah, you can borrow it.
Yeah. He's like, where'd you get this ship? Anakin's just like, don't ask questions.
Well, that was their kind of quote unquote undercover ship that they constantly used.
Oh, was that what that was?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry. I just feel like Anakin could. He
would.
I feel like
I'm not saying he wouldn't. That's probably how he got in the first place.
Yeah, because I just feel like he's that guy in the Jedi Order where it's like, hey, I don't need you to ask questions.
Come on, he's the guy that Yoda went straight to help him escape the council.
Yeah. It's like, why would you ask me? It's like, you've done this a lot, so.
I know you can do it.
Yep, help me.
So Bo-Katan would state to Tano that they were wasting their time talking to the Jedi before leaving the room. However, her wish for an invasion force would be partially fulfilled, as Tano and a newly promoted Commander Rex would lead a division of clone troopers to join the Mandalorian rebels. So they still got a little bit. They got a division of clones. I mean, it's still a fairly large number.
That's a solid number, and honestly, like, I get also the council just being like, we can't afford to.
Well, you gotta remember at that time that was the beginning of episode 3 where the capital got attacked.
Oh yeah.
If it wasn't for Coruscant being attacked, they might have sent that ship.
Yeah.
I mean, because one Venator Star Destroyer, it carried a decent amount of troops and supplies.
Oh yeah, and with the way Mandalore was like kind of being held, I think it only really required one. Well, it did only require one ship, and then the rebels.
Yeah, and it wasn't even a full ship.
Yeah.
It was literally only a small portion of that ship.
Dang. Okay, so Bo-Katan and Tano would lead their forces in an attack on the capital. Tano would go on a search for Maul while Bo-Katan and her warriors would fight to the throne room. There they would capture the puppet leader Almec. In the throne room, she would listen to a conversation between Kenobi and Tano talking about the Sith Lord Sidious, who had orchestrated the whole war. Oh, yeah, because once things start to come out.
Yeah, it was as stuff through the seasons, that season very slowly started to expand on. No, a lot of people know who kind of made the whole war, but we still can't stop it because we don't know who it is.
Yeah, they know. They know there is a puppet master to both sides. They just don't know who the puppet master is.
Yep.
Oh man, I do love watching the show and just seeing all the stuff that's leading up.
Right. So, as Maul and his super commandos would be taken into custody, Kryze congratulated Tano on capturing Maul. Tano would tell her that she learned from the best, including her. Kryze would then stiffen, saying that she wished she was good at something besides waging war. Which, after that much time and plunging your plan into another civil war twice, that's fair.
Yeah. I mean, warriors got to exist, though, in a consistently unstable universe.
Right.
I do feel it is one of those when you meet a peaceful race in the Star Wars universe and they're like, oh, we're a peaceful race that doesn't believe in violence. It's like, are you guys stupid? Have you guys not looked around? Like, dude, man, people be invading left and right every planet. I'm not saying you guys need to be conquerors, but like, learn how to shoot a gun.
Yeah, we see that usually ends up happening throughout the Clone Wars series.
Yeah, that they do meet some of those races where they're like, I guess we have to learn to defend ourselves. It's like, oh, such a horrible thing.
Right.
We're like, we're not trying to turn you into conquerors. We just need you to be able to swing a bat or something.
We can't protect everyone.
Yeah.
But Tano would continue saying that Mandalore could use a new kind of leader, but Kryze again responded and stated that her sister had been that leader. Which she really was for the way they wanted Mandalore to go. Like, even though she didn't agree with it at the time, by the end of that last season, she might have agreed with her sister on that.
I think in the end she saw because of everything that happened, she saw what her sister was actually fighting for.
Yep.
She realized, like, oh, she wanted a better future for us.
Yep. And she tried.
She did. Man, that's sad. This is sad. This is a sad episode, I feel like. Okay.
Kind of a weird one to be a sad one.
Right? Okay, so Bo-Katan would help transfer Maul over to Tano after imprisoning him in a Mandalorian vault, a capsule that was designed to imprison Jedi. Tano was impressed by the vault, which Kryze described as an ancient relic that was used in a time when they needed to imprison force-wielding maniacs.
You know, back in the time when they almost exclusively fought force wielders.
Yeah. And honestly, they're some of the best at it.
Oh, yeah. Like, a bunch of their weapons, their armor, like, it was all designed to fight the Jedi and Sith.
It's one of those, them whipping out that coffin, and then, I get it's a relic, but it's honestly not shocking that they kept some around.
I think they even said that was the last one. And I don't even think that was intended to be kept around either. It just happened to still be there.
Huh.
From what I remember of the scene in the conversation.
It's the last one. It's like, I don't know if I believe that.
Right. I wouldn't.
I'm like, you Mandalorians, like, you're pretty known for hunting, like, fighting us. I doubt that's the only one you kept.
Right. So, into the Age of the Empire. After Maul's capture, Bo-Katan would be named Regent of Mandalore by the Jedi before Tano would depart. It wouldn't be long after that, though, that the Order 66 would occur and begin the Republic's reformation into the Empire.
Oh, man, just like no rest for the weary.
It really wasn't, especially at that time period.
Okay, well, let's get into it. Okay, so the Empire would use the troops left on Mandalore to begin an occupation of the planet. This would cause another wave of violence as the proud warriors would refuse the Empire's rule. Bo-Katan would be betrayed by Clan Saxon, who also supported Maul's rule. Gar Saxon would replace Bo-Katan as governor of Mandalore. Huh? Yeah, that did not end. Wow, that was a quick rule.
It really was. And I think they kind of joke about that at a certain point, too.
I mean, man, that's terrible. Like, they didn't even try.
I mean, in a way, Kenobi wasn't wrong. He warned what could happen if they invaded.
He did. He did.
We just weren't expecting quite what happened.
I also did. I never thought about the fact that Order 66 also probably, there were probably some immediate battles that happened on planets.
Oh, yeah.
Where it wasn't even Jedi based.
Yep.
Because the Order was also just like, hey, implement rule.
Yep.
Like, take over now. And they were like, okay. Because of the chips.
Oh, yeah. So around 1 BBY, Bo-Katan would meet Countess Ursa Wren, who killed Gar Saxon, and her daughter Sabine Wren, who were seeking a Mandalorian worthy of wielding the Darksaber and claiming the title of Mandalore. So yeah, at that point, a lot of stuff has happened, a lot of fighting a lot more infighting and civil war happening with Mandalorians. You know, the ones that support the Empire, the ones that clearly don't, that honestly were the right ones.
Yeah. And the Mandalorians are a rough group. I mean, when your society and Creed is built on fighting, I feel like the peace times are not ever really...
They don't really happen.
Yeah, they don't.
And when they do, it's very short-lived.
Very short-lived. So, after exchanging greetings, Sabine offered the Darksaber to Bo-Katan, who turned it down because she believed that she had failed as regent. Bo-Katan later joined Sabine's clan, Ren Force, and allies from the Spectrus rebel cell in rescuing Sabine's father, Elric Ren, from an Imperial convoy. Okay, so she's forming allies. That's good.
And where she's like, I failed as a regent, is like, did you really get a chance, though?
Yeah.
To say yes or no to that?
I mean,
because he kind of got booted out real quick.
Yeah, I feel like, yeah, no, we didn't even get to see you be a regent. Like, how were you supposed to succeed in that situation?
Like, I think within the day, the order came through and she was replaced. I was like, do you really have a chance to say you failed?
Right? That'd be like if somebody just put a crown on my head and then somebody else just came up and kneecapped me with a baseball bat. I can't really say I failed as a king. I didn't even get to be king.
Which is ironic since there were those kind of kings out there in history.
Yeah. Just straight up like I'm king. I'm going to implement things, but tonight we party and then somebody poisons me. I didn't even get to be a king to validate. So yeah, I feel like it's one of those like, come on, give yourself a little more credit. They killed the Jedi Empire. Let's not pretend like you had a chance.
Right. So despite the success of the raid to get her father, their victory was overshadowed by news that Ursula Wren's forces had been wiped out by an arc pulse generator. This arc pulse generator, nicknamed the Duchess, was capable of reacting with the Beskar alloy inside the Mandalorian armor, incinerating the wearers and leaving only charred armor behind.
I remember that. Also, d-rael move. Richard move. The Duchess.
Well, as we kind of learn in the next paragraph, there's probably a reason behind that name.
Okay. So when Bo-Katan learned that Sabine had created the Duchess, she was enraged and chastised the younger woman for creating a weapon that would target Mandalorian armor, which she considered an abomination that only a coward would make. When Sabine explained that she had constructed the Duchess as a young and idealistic Imperial cadet, Bo-Katan reluctantly accepted her explanation.
But yeah, so knowing that Sabine is the one that created it, her mother was a Duchess.
Oh! I was thinking Duchess.
You know.
Yeah, okay.
No, she basically named the weapon to kill her people after her mom.
Okay.
Actually, she may not have named it, but whoever did probably did it for that reason.
I was thinking Bo-Katan's sister, because they all call her Duchess.
Oh, it's because she was.
Yeah, that's more. I thought it was an insult to the.
No, I'm pretty sure it was because it was their title.
Okay, that makes more sense. Less Richard move.
It's still a Richard move because you're building a weapon to literally kill your own people.
Okay, fair. That is still a Richard move.
If anything, that's worse.
Yeah. I mean, you took one of the most effective armors in the galaxy and made it useless.
Yep.
You actually, not useless, you made it a hindrance.
You made it a magnet.
So I get Bo-Katan's, anger.
So after landing at her camp, Bo-Katan backed Sabine when she offered to atone for her role in creating the Duchess by helping to destroy it. Which is the right way to go.
Fair.
The Mandalorians and the rebels would come up with a plan to infiltrate Governor Tiber Saxon's Star Destroyer. While one team would destroy the weapon, the other would delete its records from the Imperial database. You know, obviously, because you don't want another one to be made immediately after.
Yeah, it's kind of probably... I always wonder that. That's one thing I always wonder in certain shows or cartoons when they don't show them going to delete the stuff, and it's one of those, we destroyed the weapon. It's like, man, they're just going to build another one.
Right? All you did was delay it.
Yeah.
Unless you're going to kill them all.
Right? We're not fighting a super villain in a Saturday morning cartoon here, ironically. But, because, I always love how supervillains, the weapon fails one time because of something the hero did that could never work in a million years. And they're like, we got to scrap that whole project.
Yeah.
No, in the Star Wars verse, if it works a few times, they're like, okay, they managed to beat it this one way, 1 in a billion shot. Let's keep making it. To a point where we all kind of have become sick of Palpatine. Okay, so after destroying the Star Destroyer and the weapon, and upon returning to her camp, Sabine told Bo-Katan that she had proven herself a leader, while Kryze was uncertain. Sabine and her mother reassured her that there were people willing to follow her. The Wrens were joined by representatives from other clans, including Vizsla, Rook, Eldar, and Finn Rao, the last surviving Mandalorian protector.
There you go.
There we are.
Yeah, it was just proves that she had people that were willing to follow her, and clearly she didn't completely botch the very short term of her first rule.
I mean, yeah, no. I mean, she had followers, and she's also, I feel as though time and time again, she's proven herself a very capable warrior and leader.
Which, just proving yourself as a capable warrior in this race, in this clan, and the creed, like, it's going to prove that you're the leader they want.
Exactly.
If you're a strong warrior, that's what they look for.
Exactly.
With the approval of the people, Bo-Katan would take the Darksaber and the mantle of leader, rallying the support of Clan Wren's forces and her own Nite Owls. However, the Children of the Watch, a rogue sect of Mandalorians based on Concordia, would reject Bo-Katan's claim to the throne. Because, of course, you always have to have the one group.
Right.
But they believed that she was acting solely on her blood and the weapons she had not earned, as they believed the Darksaber needed to be won in combat. Which kind of leads into certain other things later on.
Which, yeah, and there's always that one stickler. Okay, so sometime after this happens, the Empire would launch a purge of Mandalore, killing most Mandalorians, and Bo-Katan would lose the Darksaber to ISB officer Gideon. Yeah, now we're getting into the rebellion area timeline or time frame.
This is past that, but
is it past that?
Everything we've been talking about has been during the Empire and during the rebellion.
Oh, okay. We're getting to the end of that. Okay, cool.
Yeah, this is towards the end after kind of the Empire's fallen.
Okay, yep.
Because now we're into after the Empire.
Let's kick it off.
Where around 9 ABY, she would meet and rescue the Mandalorian bounty hunter Din Djarin and his foundling. Cute little thing. Djarin would tell them that he was hoping to find a Mandalorian covert and return the child to the Jedi. However, as the three Mandalorians would take off their helmets, Djarin would angrily dismiss them after realizing they did not follow the way of the Mandalore. Because, zealots.
Yep.
And Bo-Katan told him that her armor had passed down for 3 generations and that she had been born on Mandalore and had fought in the Great Purge. Because, you can't really get much more Mandalorian than being born there.
Right? Oh, God, that's got to be just annoying to deal with on their side of things. Just meeting these random people who are a little too zealoty to where they're like, you take off your helmets, you're not true Mandalorians. Like, okay, first off, young man, let me tell you my history.
Even in the show, you're one of those.
Yeah, which I love. I love that statement. So, to Djarin's astonishment, Bo-Katan revealed that he was one of the Children of the Watch, a cult of religious Mandalorian zealots that broke away from Mandalorian society to pursue the reestablishment of the ancient way of Mandalore. Not believing her to be true Mandalorian, Djarin left and returned to the port.
Yeah, because you got the Death Watch that were wanting to rebuild the ancient ways. Then you got the ones that are even more zealoty, like the Children of the Watch.
Yeah.
That even make Death Watch look kind of tame.
They honestly
really sad to think about.
That's a real messed up statement to think about because Death Watch was already pretty insane.
Come on, they were a literal terrorist organization.
Yeah.
And now you're adding religious zealots into the mix.
It's a little, not dealing with that.
So inside of a local inn, Bo-Katan would convince Djarin to aid them on their mission to steal weapon shipments from an Imperial cruiser that belonged to, at the time, Moff Gideon's Imperial remnant. In exchange, Bo-Katan promised to give Djarin information about the location of a Jedi.
Okay. Well, I remember that, because he was trying to find a little teacher for his little green dude. Okay, so Bo-Katan and the others infiltrated the ship, with the Nite Owls making short work of the stormtroopers. Bo-Katan led them into the cargo hold and secured the weapon shipment. However, Bo-Katan communicated with the Imperial officer on the bridge, stating that they were coming up to hijack the ship. When Djarin complained about Bo-Katan changing their deal, Bo-Katan taunted him by uttering the mantra, "This is the way," telling him that if he wanted her information about the Jedi, he would help her take the ship. I get his irritation.
This is some Darth Vader, pray I don't alter it any further.
Exactly.
Which, ironically, was a scene with another Mandalorian. Because I was with Boba.
Yes. Oh, I forgot about that. But yeah, that's a kind of not a great move.
Yeah, no, but at the same time, what'd you expect?
Better. Be better, Bo-Katan.
I wouldn't have. I'm sorry, I love the Mandalorians, but I wouldn't expect better of them. True.
I'd say Djarin's probably the most honorable one that we've seen.
I don't know, Bo-Katan's pretty up there. To be completely honest and fair for her, she is pretty honorable for
She's definitely
for her
arguably up there as far as honor. Definitely better than the people she used to work with.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So after capturing the ship, Bo-Katan would interrogate the captain about the location of the Darksaber. The captain would just sneer at her, saying that if she was asking, then she already knew, before committing suicide through the use of a suicide shocker. Gotta love those suicide teeth.
Right.
Kryze was angry that she could not interrogate him further, but was more pleased with the success of their mission. Who wouldn't be when you get a whole transport full of weapons and supplies?
Oh, completely.
She would offer Djarin a place among them despite their differences in their creeds, but Djarin would decline, for obvious reasons.
Yep.
With Bo-Katan telling him that her offer stood if he ever changed his mind. But when you got a little one to follow, to take away,
yeah,
I wouldn't be following her either.
No, that's a little risky at that point. You got your single father traveling the galaxy on a gig job. You got to take care of your own.
Yeah.
Can't be running off to join some club. So, keeping her word, she told the bounty hunter that he could find Ahsoka Tano on the planet Corvus. As Djarin began to leave, Bo-Katan watched him go before turning her attention to the cockpit and her fellow Mandalorians. So, yeah, she honors her end of the deal. And she gets a nice shiny ship with a lot of weaponry and supplies.
Heck yeah.
Dang. Go for the win.
So after his adventure, Djarin would later track down Bo-Katan to ask for her help in retrieving Grogu from Moff Gideon. Because, of course, he went and lost the kid. Djarin and his companion Boba Fett would approach Bo-Katan and Reeves to ask for their help. But Bo-Katan began to pick a fight with Fett. I don't blame her. Also wasn't the best person to try to pick a fight with.
Yeah, no.
But she would say that he was a disgrace to his armor because he was not a Mandalorian.
Which I get it. Also, I get the hostility to that face.
It wasn't even the face, but she knew the voice, and I still wouldn't blame her.
Yeah, I 100% get it. And I feel like Fett deals with that a lot. He's got to. After everything that went down in there.
I don't know. As often as he's silent, I don't think he really does.
That's probably actually why he's so silent all the time.
Right.
He got sick of dealing with that. He's like, I'm just going to not talk.
We're going to be the silent protagonist.
Right. Okay, so after Fett made threats, Bo-Katan would coldly state that she had heard his voice thousands of times since he was a clone. And after Fett retorted, Reeves attacked him. Bo-Katan broke up their scuffle and decided to accept Djarin's request when she learned that Djarin knew the location of Gideon and his light cruiser. Yeah, that was a cool fight, too.
That was an awesome fight to watch.
Short one, but cool one. Also, some major insults definitely went back and forth.
Oh, God, yeah. I remember I still wish we knew what half of them meant, but...
Right?
So she would make Djarin promise, when she goes on this mission with him, that she would take the Darksaber from Gideon. To which Djarin responded that his only priority was rescuing Grogu. That's literally all he cared about. Yeah,
I mean, I get it, dude. That's his kid. Like, at this point, that's his kid.
Pretty much was.
Yeah. So later, piloting a captured shuttle towards the cruiser, Kryze hailed the ship to request an emergency landing as Fett piloted Slave One, pretending to attack them. Bo-Katan's request was denied, but she nonetheless landed on the ship and stormed out with the others, killing large amounts of Imperial forces before taking the bridge. However, they failed to discover Gideon there. Bo-Katan waited on the bridge with the others until Djarin arrived with Gideon in his custody, which was also a pretty sick fight.
So that whole episode was awesome.
That was a solid episode. There's a bunch of badasses just running on a ship. They took that ship, man.
Oh, God, yeah.
I will say the fight scene when he's taking on the robots, though.
Yep.
That was hilarious to me.
So, realizing that Djarin had defeated Gideon in combat, Bo-Katan knew that the bounty hunter had unintentionally claimed the Darksaber as his own. As Gideon would then taunt Bo-Katan with that, Djarin would offer her the blade, but Bo-Katan stiffly refused to take it in such a manner. Djarin attempted to yield, wishing to honor his previous agreement, not wanting to cause a fight. But Bo-Katan would continue to not accept. Because at that point, a lot of it was she thought that she didn't earn it the last time, and that's why things went so poorly. She's like, nope, I got to do this right.
I do find that whole situation slightly humorous in a way. I don't know if humorous is the right word, but just this, like, because I remember in that scene, they even show her, like, clench her weapon and that, like, she's about to fight, and he's just like, I don't want it. I do not want the heat. Take it from me. Take it, Gandalf. Take it.
Unfortunately, that's not their way.
Yeah, that's a raw. That man, maybe she should not be trying to be leader at this point on luck alone.
Well, I think at that point she wanted to fight Gideon more as a revenge thing since he beat her and took it the last time. I think it was more of that than even her trying to be a leader at that point. To be honest, I
could see that.
At least that's what it felt like.
I do just feel, though, she just seems to have a lot of bad luck.
Oh, yeah. Unfortunately, that whole family does.
True. So, after being rescued from Gideon's Dark Troopers by Luke Skywalker and him taking Grogu, Gideon would be taken away to the New Republic, and Bo-Katan and her companions would be left in control of Gideon's cruiser, which would be left to Bo-Katan. Which, solid get, man. Right?
Because that wasn't even just one of the small cruisers. Like, granted, it wasn't a Star Destroyer, but it was up there in size and what it could do. Like, it was not a small gain.
Oh, yeah, because if I'm remembering, that's also one of those types of cruisers that you can kind of just park ships on.
Yeah. Not a lot, but it had some.
Yeah, like not big or a lot, but like...
I mean, heck, it had that small hangar at the front.
Exactly. And yeah, no, I do enjoy the character, though. I think she earned it, and I'm excited to see what they do with her now.
Oh, yeah, especially, for someone who I don't think, looking back at the Clone Wars, was intended to be anybody big. She has definitely grown. I think a lot more than anybody really expected out of her.
Oh, 100%. Like, when the first few times you meet her, she is just a faceless side,
she was a background character.
Yeah,
that was it.
Background left-hand general. One of those characters where you're like, if you had to pick, you're like, that one's gonna die, so we could see how badass the main character is.
Which ironically went the other way around, and it wasn't her.
Yeah, exactly. So she survived the background treatment. And now we're here. And honestly, I guess I'll ask the question I ask every week. You a fan, Joker?
Definitely. And then maybe slightly biased because she's a Mandalorian. But, she was still an awesome character. And I'm excited to see her in the next season of The Mandalorian.
And I'll say I'm a fan, too. I love how the character's grown. Because at first, wasn't a big fan, but she's grown on me. For anyone that's still listening, if you got something out of this, enjoyed the episode, or even liked the character before from a movie, comic, cartoon, hell, even that t-shirt that you saw one time. You're a fan too. You want to jump on this train? Why not subscribe and share with a friend? d-rael out. Y'all keep riding them rails.